evening, guys. Hello, Lauren, Neil, Kun, how are you? Marley, how are you? Lauren, Colin, Ziona, Ruwan, how are you guys? Good evening, guys. So, guys, tonight is our last section on candlesticks. Okay. Hi, Franco and Nila, how are you? So, guys, it is our last section on candlesticks. Okay, so tonight we will be doing our very last segment on candlesticks, and then after this we will be focusing on the next section. Okay, so for every section that we are focusing on, let me just open up this so I can actually see where the hell what is. So every single section, guys, we have like the breakdown, the beginning, then we dive a little bit deeper into it, and then we go even deeper into that. So now in the course material, you see that the first one that we did was we did candlesticks, the language of price, and why candlesticks matter. Then we go into the anatomy of a candlestick. How does it form? And tonight we are talking about the psychology of candles. Now you're like, Marnie, how the hell can candlesticks have psychology? You know, how does those things click into each other? Well, tonight we're going to talk about the decisions that sits behind candlesticks. Okay, because believe it or not, candlesticks can actually tell us a lot of the market behavior. You know, how people are thinking, what they are thinking, and that is why it's so important for you to focus on mastering and understanding candlesticks. So this is one of the parts that I believe is not as well taught as it should be taught, is candlesticks, right? And that's why we have a different way of showing it to you guys. So every candle represents a battle. Okay, ideally. So if you look at any candle, you need to understand that there was a battle inside of that time frame. Within that, whatever candlestick you have, there was a battle. And that is why we will always say that the 1 day, the 1 week, the higher time frame candles are more important than the lower time frame candles because of the battle. Okay, because on the 1 minute, the battle only lasted 1 minute. On the 5 minutes, the battle only lasted 5 minutes. But on the 1 day, this battle lasted the whole day. Okay. Okay. So this was a long battle. Okay. So that is why whenever you look at a specific time frame or any strategy, we always say that you start from the top and then work your way down, because candlesticks is a battle. Okay. So there's buyers and there is sellers. Okay. Remember, we told you the story about the bulls and the bears, right? So we have the bulls on the one side and the bears on the other side, okay? Then we have price, okay? And then we have a candle. So that price ideally tells us what happened within that time frame, and that can give us an idea of what is going to happen potentially in the future, okay? Doesn't mean definitely of what's going to be happening in the future. It's just giving us an idea of what can potentially happen. All right. So what do we understand about candlesticks, guys? The candle is the visible result of the battle. Okay. And that is why trading is so difficult to understand. Yes. Why trading is so difficult to understand is because we are seeing what happened in the past. So that candlestick, as it is forming, it is telling us the battle. But once the candlestick closes, we now understand who won the battle. Okay. How was the battle? So tonight we're going to learn within this battle, who won the battle? Why did they win the battle? Okay. And what are all the psychological things that comes with that battle? And you might say, you money, how does, that's really, it's something to wrap your mind around. Is there really psychology in candlesticks? Yes, there is. You have to understand that there are specific candlesticks that are going to tell you very important information within this battle. Okay. So what are the buyers saying? Okay. Buyers enter. So we're going to be focusing on the buyers quickly, right? Let me just, there we go. So, but what are the buyers saying? Buyers entering the market are essentially saying, I believe price is worth buying here. Okay. And a strong buying pressure can push the price higher. Okay, so I need you to think. Put on your thinking cap and think as a buyer. Okay, where would I be buying gold? Okay, so I believe that the price, so where we bought this morning on the 20 EMA, we believe that the price was worth buying there. Okay, and then because there's enough people, enough psychology behind that, we now say that there's a strong buying pressure. And because there's a lot of people that are coming together and saying, yes, we believe this is a great area for all of us to buy in, we create buying pressure. And obviously the opposite is also there. So if someone decides, well, you know what, I think this is a great area to sell, and a collective of enough people come together with that decision, that moment, then there we create selling pressure. Okay, so what are the sellers saying? Sellers are saying to themselves, I believe the price is worth selling here. And therefore, then, if enough people come together, we have strong selling pressure that can push the price down. Okay, so that's the battle. You have people that believe it's a good time to buy, and you have people that says this is a good time to sell. Okay, that's ideally what the decisions is, guys. That happens every single day. So what does a strong bullish pressure look like? Okay, because this is important. This is how you will understand the psychology behind candlesticks. Okay, this is very, very important for you to understand. Let me just zoom this a little bit back. Oh, no, it's not going to zoom it back for me. Wait. Go there, back there. Okay, so what is a strong bullish pressure? Okay, so strong bullish pressure is indicated in the body of the candle. Okay, so the large body shows strong buying pressure throughout this section. The smaller the wicks, the larger the body, the stronger the move, the rally was. So you need to think of it like we have half of the people on the buying side, half of the people on the selling side, and they are screaming across the fence to each other and say, hey, don't you think it's a great time to buy? And then some people will stand there and say, yeah, you know what, this is a great. And then they all go over to the buying side. Now the buying side is heavier than the selling side, so therefore the price goes up. The same thing happens on the opposite side. But how do we know the psychology, the move, the pressure is behind it is based upon the body? Okay, strong close. Okay, the bigger the wick, right? The weaker the pressure, right? The weaker the psychology is behind the candle. Trust me, we're going to be doing some charts now, and I'm going to show you guys how you can use this this framework to assert where would be a great time to buy and sell. Okay. So based upon that, we can now see that we can understand that there is a good, strong move depending on the body of the candle, because there is limited lower wick. So on a long position, on a buying candle, the smaller the wick at the bottom, the stronger the move. Okay. So now when you read a bullish candle and it has almost no wick at the bottom or a very little, you can then understand that there is a huge amount of pressure behind that candle. And obviously, the higher the time frame of the candle, the stronger the move. So if you guys want to know about this, you can go look in my book where it identifies long bullish body with a short or absent lower wick as a sign of a strong. So there's a chapter about candlesticks there. Okay, now let's have a look at a strong bearish pressure. Strong bearish pressure is a large body again, but it has a strong bearish close. Okay, there's the close. So when you are looking at the buying pressure, you are looking at how big the wick is, right? When you are looking at the sell, you want to look at where did the candle close and that there's no limited, there's a small upper wick. So on the buying pressure, we want to look at the bottom wick. On the selling side, we want to look at the top wick. And that gives us an indication of where it is. So we want to look at the candle and say, where did it close? And how big is the wick when it started? How deep did they push the price down? Okay, I'm going to be showing you guys this now on the chart as well. So I have a belief, and I think you guys have always said it. I've always said it on all my lives and stuff. The wick tells us the damage that was done within this period. Okay, so what do I mean with that? Guys, candle wicks will tell you a story because the wicks show rejection. That is where price tried but failed to hold. Okay, so you must think about it almost like, so you must think about you have these two these two armies at each other. Then they're pushing each other back and forth, right? Back and forth in this battle. And the wick is the trail that is left behind this army. So it depends on as the two are moving across each other, you know, the wicks, there's almost like damage that is being done, you know, at the back behind them. And the wicks tells us which way the damage was done. So if it has a long upper wick, it means that price moved all the way to there, and then it couldn't hold it. There wasn't enough conviction. There wasn't enough buyers in the market to take. Remember what we said. What is a buyer? A buyer believes that this is a great price to buy because the price is going to go up. Now, obviously, there was not enough people that had that same sentiment. Okay. So now when you look at your stop loss, you're no longer going to look at them like, oh, I was wrong. No, you're just not on the right conviction. Okay. Your conviction was that the price was going to go up. It didn't. There wasn't enough people behind your rally to move the price up. The market had a different decision. All right. So then, but they couldn't maintain those highs, and therefore the price comes back and it closes as such. Same thing now has for a long lower wick. We look at the damage of the lower wick. Okay. So we see the pressure we see on the bottom wick and the top wick of bullish and bearish. We see the damage, the strength of the move based upon the opposite wick. Okay, so what does it mean here? It means that sellers stepped in at those prices and pushed the price back down. So they pushed the price all the way to there, but they couldn't hold this level here, and the price was pushed all the way back to here, and this is where the price closed, meaning that this is where the conviction of the buyers was. That is telling us that I don't know if there's enough buyers in this market at this point. Okay, same thing happens with the sellers. Okay, buyers stepped in at a lower price and pushed the price back up and said, no, this is not going to happen, and they pushed it all the way back. So wicks show us where the battle happened, and the body shows us who won. Okay. Very important, guys. That's why I do not trade. None of my strategies does not include the wicks. Okay, I include the wicks in my story because they tell me where did the battle happen? Where is this battle happening? And then the body tells me who was winning. Okay, now what do we mean when we say rejection? Okay, so rejection creates the candle. Right, so rejection is that point where you need to understand that price has its extreme, right? So price reaches an extreme level, either high or low, and then there is a rejection, meaning that there's a lot of opposing orders, and then the market rejects that level, and then the opposite side steps in and pushes the price back down, and then the candle closes. So you have price moving in the direction, then you have, so every single candlestick follows this three frameworks. The price extreme, it's moving. Then there's the rejection. It's either going to get rejected at some point, and then we're going to see the close of the candle. Okay, that is how you need to read your candles. That is how you need to understand your candles. Okay, so what do I mean with that? Price drops to a low here. Okay, right here, we have a big rejection saying no. And the buyers, look at this candle. The buyer steps in with this type of a candle, and then what happens? We see, based upon the wick being at the bottom side, is that the bears tried to push the price further down. They failed and then closed above there. This is a strong rejection, telling us, I think there's going to come a rejection within the market. And it's the same thing right here as well, guys. So the seller stepped in, rejected. So the wick is the story of rejection. It is where the damage was done. On which side was the damage done? And the body shows us who won. Okay, now, what about the doji? What does the doji actually tell us? Well, the doji is the sign of indecision. So when you are looking at your candlesticks, wherever you're seeing dojis, okay, now, is all dojis created equally? No. Okay, some dojis, the bigger the doji, the stronger the move. Okay. Okay, so the bigger, so if you have a big long doji, guys, with it's like you're like, oh, that's big. It's telling us that there was a lot of fight. That was a massive fight in that area. If you have a small doji, it just means that at that level they came together, they didn't, so there wasn't as much pressure. Remember, there's two things that we look at in trading. We look at volume, which we know as pressure. So when I speak of pressure, we're talking about volume. And then we are looking at the decisions. That is the buying and the selling. So you have two things that comes together and forms this candle. And depending on how this doji, it means that if the doji is big, it means there was a lot of pressure, a lot of volume in that area, right? They were at each other during that period. And when the doji is smaller, all it tells us is that there was not as much pressure, but there was still indecision on it. Okay, so the sign of indecision, if it has a small body, the open and the close are nearly equal. The buyers and the sellers are like, we don't know which way to go. So the indecision, a doji shows hesitation before the next. So it's almost like a yellow light, guys. It's not a red or a green light. It's like a yellow light in the market saying to you, we're about to shift gear here. Maybe you should be paying attention. So important, indecision does not automatically mean reversal. Okay, context matters. We are going to be speaking about the context. So just seeing a doji by itself doesn't mean automatically it's going to become a reversal. It just means it's a yellow light going off saying you should be paying attention. So context matters, guys. If you have an uptrend and a doji is in an uptrend, it may mean a pause before the trend continues. Okay, so if it's in a trend, it doesn't automatically mean that now the price is going to, it just means that there was a momentary pause where they had to get an accumulation of orders to either continue the trend or potentially start. So you'll either see on the doji, price might slightly go down and come back up, or you might see a continuation. It just means a yellow light telling you pay attention. All right. So what is the difference between strong momentum, which we all know as volume, okay, versus weak momentum? Strong momentum will be indicated by a large body, strong close, and limited opposing wick. So there's a small opposing wick. Okay, so it means that there was almost they didn't even argue about the price. They just slightly, and then whoop, it went up. There was no opposing from their side. It was almost like, yeah, well, you guys won by majority vote, and the price goes up. So what it means, there's strong conviction, there's strong follow through, and continuation of the trend is likely. They're not guaranteed, likely, versus weak momentum, which is a small body, long opposing wicks. It's almost like it's goop at each other, and there's hesitation. The market is unsure. Buyers and sellers are in balance. It means that there's no outlying majority win. It is almost like there's a balance. So there's indecision, uncertainty, and a higher chance of a reversal. Pay attention, guys, of a reversal or consolidation. Okay, the market moves with a trend, then it does consolidation, and then it will decide where it wants to go. Because it's almost like the market made a rally up. Now they're thinking, should we go this way? Now they're trying to gather some followers, gather some conviction, and then they're going to take the next ride. Okay, so how do you control? A control can change, okay? So remember, although you are seeing the candle at the end of it, if you are observing the candle yourself, you will see that for this candle, you can see buyers entered and push the price higher. So the candle opened here, right? It was a bearish close, right? Price opened here. The buyers pushed the price up. That's what caused the upper wick. Now we see the rejection, right? Then the price step comes down. Then the sellers enter here with the pressure. So here was a rejection. What causes the rejection? There's not enough conviction. There's no more people at this level to push the price higher. They ran out of buyers, guys. There's no more buyers. So then the price will automatically start looking for the opposing side, which is the sellers. And that is when it then changes over. You can see that there's a small lower wick, and then the candle will close. So this is, look at it. So you can see this little piece here is the buying pressure. This entire piece here is the sellers that to control. So now we can understand, yeah, well, the sellers are in control. So at first, the buyers was in control. Then they ran out of motive. There was not enough people. There was no more orders going up. No more people had conviction for buying higher or believing that the price is going to go up. So then the seller stepped in, the control shift, and we had a bearish close. So the important question isn't just who won. So it's not about what color is the candle, because that's what everybody teaches, is what is the color. Everybody looks at what is the color of the candle. The question you should ask yourself is, did control change during the candle? Okay, now I know many of our existing candles, we cannot see this, but now from now on, when you look at a candle, look at the candle. Did it start green and then push red? Did it start red and then push green? Because that will tell you a lot within the story. Okay, what matters is the shift in control. That is where the edge is, guys. That is where you're going to understand which way the market is potentially going to push. Did I forget to? Oh, I forgot to put this one in here, guys. My apologies. I will just see. I didn't put my image in there. Whoops. So context changes everything, guys. A candle by itself tells us something. A candle in context can tell us much more. So now what we're going to do is we're going to compare a candle in the middle of nowhere versus a candle at a major area of support and resistance. So now I need to quickly go to my trading view, and we're going to be sharing my trading view now. Where is my trading view? Stop sharing this so that we can have a look at which one do I want? This one. All right, so now you can see here is my trading view, guys. Can you guys see my trading view? If you just give me, okay, so you guys can see it. All right, so now we're going to look towards, guys, here is a very nice short here. I need to take this short. So now we're going to look at the story of the market, right? So we're going to look at what is conviction, what is not conviction, right? So what are we seeing here? So let's quickly go to the 1 hour, because I think that is a very good time to show this. So what did we see here? We see here that there are big candles and there are small candles. Now let's focus on some specific candles, right? I want to make them big. Here we go. All right, so now what do we see? We see here we have a big, it's a pink candle, but technically it's a green, it's a red candle. So let me just quickly change the color here for you guys so that you guys can understand the color code of it. Otherwise, I'm not going to confuse you guys. I'm like, what the fudge, Marnie? Okay, so let's make the bodies. This will be the bullish candle, and this one will be the bearish candle. Okay, so I'll change my colors back. Bullish, bearish. Okay, there we go. All right, so what do we see? Okay, now what do we see? We see here price. Look what price does when it breaks through this area. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this candle. Okay, now I want you guys to answer for me. Based upon this candle that you are seeing here and the wick, was that strong bullish momentum or weak bullish momentum? Based upon the wick. Remember we said the bottom wick tells us how strong was the momentum, and then the top wick tells us, you know, how far did it go? Strong. Absolutely, guys. Strong, because we're seeing small wicks. That is telling us strong momentum is stepping into the market. Absolutely, guys. Well done. So we can see strong conviction at this point, saying, nope, we're going to go through here. Now, what happened to the very next candle? Do you think that the bears wanted the bulls to take their territory? Do you think the sellers wanted to give up their territory based upon this candle? Absolutely, guys. Look at that candle. Yes, big. Look at that body. Look at this thing. And then look at the wick at the bottom. This is a massive rejection. But let's look at the story. Did the candle open bullish and close bullish? Absolutely. The candle opened up bullish here. There was a slight little bit of a rejection, much smaller wick than the opposing side. And it pushed up, and it came back down. So it's telling us that the bulls was pushing. No matter how many orders from the bears that was coming in, they were pushing. And that happened on the next candle. Okay, And then what happened with this candle? Oh my gosh, here the bears are starting to win. Look at the same rejection, but now we closed bearish. What is that telling us? It's telling us, whoa, here seems to be some rejection. Here seems to be some sort of rejection point. Okay, so all that candle is telling us in that area, right? It's telling us that price, okay, let's do that. That price is going to maybe slow down. Look what happened. We had another bullish push. And now what is important to note? Did we break this area on the wicks? Did we break it, guys? Aha. So now that is how we spot a reversal. That's why do not ignore your wicks, because your wicks are telling you. Because if this momentum was strong enough from this bullish pressure, this candle should have closed. So technically, this candle, if the oh, I can't really put it that way now. I usually think if the bulls were strong enough, they would have closed this candle above the structure. They didn't. That is telling us, reversal. Look what happened. Now, price red, pushing down. Look at the wick, still massive fight. We're not saying that the fight is won. We can see here there's a massive fight still carrying on. And then what appears here? Our famous doji. Now, the question is, what does that doji look like, guys? Because I said to you guys, dojis don't look all the same. What does that doji look like? It has a strong, so technically, let me draw it out. So it looks like this. Now, if the doji is like this, aha, guys, it's understanding that not all doji. So if the doji ended like this, who was in control if the doji looked like this? The bulls or the bears? It's a 50-50. Nobody, absolutely. If the doji closed there, who was in control? The bulls or the bears? The bears. But now, what if the doji closed there? Who was in control if it's at the... and look what happened. Look what happened, guys. So this doji was giving us a orange light. Be careful, be careful, be careful. It looks like the bulls are winning the fight. And look what happened. As a matter of fact, if you want to look at price, do you guys see that from where this price was? There's an opening here. Do you guys see it? Do you guys see that the price jumped from there to there? Oh, but you will never see it when I zoom back. You see, if you go back on price, you're not going to notice this. You're not going to see this. Okay? Because if you zoom your screen back, you would have seen that this is where the session ended. You can see here's it. And when it opened up, we had this massive jump from here to here. And then look what happened. Price aggressively. The bear stepped in from that moment and said, hell, we will test you. It pushed here. But now look which side. On which side of this bearish candle is the wick? At the top or at the bottom? At the bottom. Because it's at the bottom, it told us that the candle opened up very strong bearish. Very strong bearish. But because we have this wick at the bottom, it's telling us they lost their foothold in this area of support. They failed to claim back their territory, and look what the consequences was of it. And look, the bears defended today, guys. Look at this. Look at the sellers. They defended. There's a doji. Look at this doji. Look at the push here. And now where are we now? We are now here with a red candle here. Now the question is it a great time to buy or sell at this point in time? You guys tell me. This is our strategy. So is this a great time to buy or sell? Or what do you guys think? It's a great time to sell, but what do we need to see in order for us to assure ourselves that it is going to be a good enough sell? Absolutely. We want to see that this candle starts. Now look at this. Let's look at the candle where it sits right now. Because remember, we are still Where are we? We're not done yet. So we haven't opened up the next candle. So we're still in this. Do you guys see that this can mean one of two things? Okay. It can mean that we have a resting candle. Because look at this. Bullish pressure, buying pressure, buying pressure, buying pressure. Based upon how this candle closed here, I'm seeing red lights. Why am I seeing red lights? Because this candle slightly pushed down, pushed all the way. Look at the pressure that is there. So based upon this candle in isolation, I would say, there is a lot of bullish pressure. Okay. This is not convincing for me that we do indeed have a reversal. Okay. But now let's drop down to the 15 minutes. Let's go look at structure. Now we're going to look at structure. So what are we looking at? We can see price rejected here, rejected, rejected. Now, what are we observing? Oh my gosh, guys, what is this? Because now we're dropping. So we've already got that bullish pressure was strong, guys. Look at this. Now the question is, what is happening here? Based upon what you're seeing here, do you guys think it's a good time to buy? Okay, good time to sell, sorry. Do you guys think now it's a good time to sell? Okay, why would you say it's not a good time? Okay, so I want to understand your thinking behind it, guys. I want to see if you grasp on what are you basing that no on? Consult. Well done, guys. Because of the damage we are seeing on the wicks here. Does these four candles, wicks, and well done, Lauren. Does these four candles tell us that the bears are in control? No. Exactly. So what would have happened, right? We would have come here. We would have seen this candle. We would have said, oh, great time to sell. Let's sell because it's a great time to sell, right? Put our stop loss above there, and then what happens? The same thing happens that happens on Wednesday, on Friday. We get the wind knocked straight out of us because we thought, this is a good time to sell. No, it's not a good time to sell at all because we are not seeing the structure. You see, when we look at this candle by itself, yeah, it does look like a rejection candle. It does. But why do we not base our decision solely on this one? We want to look at the completion of the 1 hour time frame. Okay, look at that. That's 18 to 1900 hours. So we want to see, how does this candle form? You would agree with me that when this candle formed, let's have a look at this candle at 2 o'clock. Okay, here we are at 1:45, 2 o'clock. Would you guys agree with me? We're having a lot of bullish pressure, right? Do you guys see here? So if I was to look at it, we push down, then the next moment we see this candle, right? Okay, see this candle here, which has got a big wick at the top, telling us that the bulls tried to push it up. They failed, okay? Bulls tried to go up. They pushed it all the way down. But what gave me a conviction that there's a potential reversal going to happen here? If this candle was red, I would be concerned. But this candle is green, telling me that although the bears tried to push the price further down, they could not win the battle. The bulls won the battle here. And then we see this next candle. So this is why this would have been a great time for you to buy, because you would see, there is conviction here. We are breaking out of the structure. This candle's being overthrown here. There's momentum. It's a big candle, big body, small wick there, big rejection. Do you guys see the rejection now? Look at the wick at the bottom, guys. Look at the wick at the bottom and look at the wick at the top. Remember what I said? You want to see off. You want to see that push off. Look at that massive rejection that was there. Although they tried to push the price, there was a strong bullish push here, and it pushed all the way to there and slightly closed there. That is telling me pressure, guys. Pressure. So If I was to just give you, I just want to find a candle. I want to actually take a naked chart. So I want to just do this, right? I want to remove the drawings, right? So I want to give you, let's find a candle, right? Let's find a candle. Let's just scroll back to a random date. Okay, let's just scroll back to a random date. Okay. If I was to look at this candle, right? This candle here, this one here, this one here. Wow, look at this candle. It's stunning, guys. Look at this. Right? If I was to look at this candle by itself, would you say that this is a good time to buy or a good time to sell? Buy or sell, guys? Which one do you think? Do you think it's a good time or like, I'm not so sure? What do you guys think? Not sure. Not sure. Okay, well, let's look at the candlestick. Well, there was a small body green candle, right? And then we have this massive, massive green, red candle here. And we're like, oh, this is phenomenal, right? Yo, look at this. This is an engulfing candle. It's eating up like almost 3 candles. Okay, this is what we mean with a story. If I was to look at this candle by itself, would this be a great candle that I would take a sell off? Just the candle. Ignore all the candles around it. Just on this candle. Is this a textbook candle? Engulfing candle. It's eating up 3 bullish candles, guys. This thing is yes, it's a great time to sell, man. Yes, it's time for us to sell, man. We're gonna make money. But if I zoom back and I show you this story, is that a good time to sell? Hell no. What do you mean we sell money? There's no way I'm going to sell. We're in an uptrend. That can just be a slight little bit of a pullback. I'm not going to jump. Exactly. It's got a huge rejection wick at the bottom. So now when I look at it in the story, I'm going, I'm not so sure anymore, hey? So that's what I want you guys to pay attention to when you are looking at things like candle range theory. When you look at things, don't just look at this. It was a great time to sell. Really? So sure, it was a great time to sell. Because right now, I'm not thinking it's such a great time to sell, right? Because of what I'm seeing on these candles here. These candles are telling me, I'm not so sure if it's a great time to be selling, guys. Because based upon these candles, yes, absolutely, guys. Absolutely. Because what are we seeing? We saw a nice engulfing candle here. So we thought, okay, it's a great time to jump into the trade. Now, this is where most people get it wrong. Okay. Is when you progress as a trader and you see this, you see the rejection. Remember, we're not seeing these candles. So ignore all of these candles. We didn't know these candles existed, right? Can I make it a bit darker? We don't know that these candles exist. So I want to make it dark and I hope it's going to take it away from me. Okay. We don't know that these candles exist, right? We can't see them. We didn't know that they existed. So based upon this rejection here, okay, this 1730 candle, we could have said this is a great time to sell because we've had some great rejection off there. You know, I'm thinking it's a good time. And let's say you did enter the trade. What does most traders do? Now, this next candle presents itself, right? Do you see it? This green candle. Now you're thinking, I don't think that this is a really great time to be selling, guys. So what do? Faith steps in. And we're like, oh, no. You know what? I believe that the market is going to go down. Is the market telling you that it's going to go down? Guys, is the market telling you that it's going to go down from there? So why are you staying in the trade? Why do you stay in the trade? Because I'm afraid of being wrong. I say, you see, Colleen, a lot of the times we are going to get into a trade here. We're going to get into a trade here. And we're going to think, guys, it's not looking like I'm not just convinced anymore that this is a good position, right? I'm not convinced anymore. So what do? We try and now build a case against the market to prove that we are right and the candlesticks are wrong. Okay, so now we're trying to convince ourselves that the market is indeed doing what we want it to do. Okay, so what do? We hold on to the position for dear life because we believe this is not going to, it's almost like we're afraid of saying to ourselves, I am wrong. Okay, I think I was a little bit early on this position. Let me first wait for some more information or some more price movement for me to make a decision. And then what happens? We don't get out of the trade here. We don't, because now look, it's starting to push our direction, So I'm giving you guys the mental because I did the same thing. I'm like, no, man, look at this, man. These candles here are telling me they want to push. Neil, I agree, guys. Set and forget, right? Is a good strategy. I'm not saying it's the wrong, right? If you're like me, where you're statistical based and you don't care about anything, you are aligned, absolutely. But now, if you're trading a naked chart like this, what happens? We get yes. You see, look how we're all building the case now. Yes, but Marnie, you don't understand, Marnie, because the stochastic is on the opposite side, right? And this candle is starting to push down. But what are these candles telling us here, guys? What's the story that these candles are telling us? What is the story these candles are telling us, guys? Based upon this, it's telling me that the bears are trying to push, but they are not winning this fight. They are not, Yes, they are being rejected. There's a lot of buying orders here. There's a lot of buyers waiting here. That's it. Exactly, but now we try and convince ourselves and build this whole case to say, yeah, but I stayed in the position because I thought this happened. And then look what happened today. I laughed, guys. I laughed when I looked at the chart. What happened today? Yes, and hope jumps in. We're like, oh, but you don't understand, Marty. Look, if I got out of the price here, then all I'm saying to you is you were not incorrect with your analysis, guys. Exactly, Neil, that's the thing that we have to learn as traders. We must interpret what we see, and then what we see must be the evidence of what is present and not our own conviction. We mustn't project what we want the market to show us. We must look at the market and say, based upon what I'm seeing, I don't think it's a good time for me to be taking a short position because I can see there's a lot of resting positions here, right? There's a lot of resting positions. So yes, I did get in here a bit early, or you know what, if I'm going to be holding the position, because this is what happens. So now coming back to the set and forget, guys. So what happens? Now, what do we do? Right? The trade starts going up. So what do we start doing? Yeah, but if I just move the stop loss there, okay, you know what? I think I was too tight on the stop loss. If I just move the stop loss to there, yeah, that will give it enough time to breathe. And then I'm going to move the stop loss to. Okay, that's why we have the set and forget rule. So when you take the position, I put my stop loss there because now I'm saying to myself, if the price gets there, I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Take me out of this position because I was wrong. Okay. So that is how I want you to think as a trader, guys, is I want you to think like that. To say, listen, it's not about, I'm not looking at what I want to see on the charts. I am basing my decision on the cold hard truth. Right now, they are not winning the fight. So the question is, do I want to enter on a strong bearish candle, which I did? It looked very strong. I mean, we had this massive rejection here. So my basic logic would say to me, based upon this, would say to me, I think that with this area of resistance is holding. But now when I look at price developing over a period of time, is this a great time for me to stay in the position? Maybe not. Okay, maybe what I should do is just take the slap on the cheek, take a little bit of the money off, say, okay, I was wrong, and look for a better position. Okay, maybe I should look for a better position in the market. So what does a better position look like? Okay, and this is why I'm telling you guys to always take screenshots of what you are looking at, because we will all agree, right, that this is a better setup than this. Would you agree? That this is giving me vibes. This is a clean setup. This is telling me, clean. Coming down, rejection, try to overthrow, big candle. Okay, you know what? I want to get in there. I want to get some of this action here, because I think this is a good time for me to buy, because these candles are proving to me it's a good time to buy. Did I enter on the first candle? No, I entered on the next candle. This is giving me bad vibes, because look at this. I have an engulfing candle, a red one, and right after that, I have a green engulfing candle. How that green candle is stronger than the red candle. So no, maybe I was a little bit too early on this position. Let me take that little slap on the cheek, a little bit of money that I'm going to lose, and step back from the market and say, where should be a better position to enter? Okay, that is what we fail as traders to do, because we want the market to tell us that we are right. Okay, we are not trading what we are seeing. We are trading our mind. Okay, guys, so that's what I'm saying to you. Have screenshots of what is an A+ setup. What is the setup that you want to look for? Okay, that is what I need you guys to focus on. And the candlesticks. So read the candlesticks like this one. Look at this. What do you now, looking back at what you've just learned tonight, do you guys think this is a great trade? And don't worry, you can be openly, brutally honest. You can call it cuck, because I'm going to call it cuck. Now, when you look at the trade, you're like, yo, Marnie, that was a bit of a cuck trade that we got into, eh? Yeah, because it wasn't bad. Yes. Now, when you look at it, you're like, you know what? Now, based upon what I saw, there wasn't really a lot of bearish conviction here, right? Look at this green candle here, man. So technically, when Marnie took the trade there, she should have looked at these two candles and made a decision to say, no, this is looking very cock. I should get out of this position. Yeah, but the stochastic is on the opposite side and everything is looking all shanana. No. Do you guys see? This was not a good enough setup. What is a good enough setup? Look here. We have price coming in. Then look at the conviction. So what would be the best candle to get in on this trade is to jump in here. Why would you jump in on this red candle, guys? Why would this big, juicy red candle be the candle you would want to jump in on? Well done, guys. Well done. There's no wicks. It's pure momentum, guys. Pure momentum. And did your momentum pay off for you? Yes, it did. It did. It didn't go as far if you put your stop loss that far. But yes, let's say, for instance, you did take this trade and now the price pushed back on you. Does it mean that you were incorrect? No, you did have it to the correct side. So let's say you did maybe on the 1-to-1. You know, maybe it got there and you started seeing the pullback, and on this big candle here, you see, I'm not so sure if this thing is going to go in my direction right now. And let's say you maybe said, okay, you know what, I'm going to take half of my position, or for whatever you decide to manage the trade. And then you see the trade goes against you and you're like, okay, so there was it a bad setup? No, it wasn't a bad setup. It was a strong setup. The only difference is you didn't base your decision on how you felt. You based the decision upon momentum. You saw there was a break of structures, a change of characters, a strong a change in the direction there, right? Showing us a lot of conviction there. That's why you got into the trade. So basing your trade, on this framework is going to give you much better results than just looking at structure and saying, I think it's a good time to buy, or the same, yeah, look here. How many of you guys would have entered on this green candle here? Look at this. We had slight pressure. We broke down towards the downside. How many? I would have entered on this candle. I would have entered on it. This is a stunning candle. I mean, I would have taken a long position here. This thing is beautiful. Look at this rejection week here. Yo, guys. Put my stop loss below that area and I would have said, here we go. Right? And guess what happened? Price rejected off it. And look what happened. So, guys, remember, there are times when you're going to have things exactly the right way. It's still going to go against you. Okay, that is how trading works. Okay, you can build the best trading system you've ever had. There's going to come a time, no matter which way you decide to trade, you are going to face those times where you're just going to be like, come on, man, this was the perfect candlestick. Everything was just, that's it. Guys, it is what it is. Okay, and that's why I teach all of you guys to accept losses. Okay, did I forget to put all of my pictures in here? Oh my God. Oh, no. This is what I had to show you guys. Sorry. That's what I had to show you guys in the chart. I was like, oh, I can't think that I didn't put my pictures in. Okay, so we did show the key levels. Okay, now let's go on with this one. Now let's see, how does candlestick psychology and CRT mesh into each other? Okay, so we all now know that there's certain candle, structures and stuff you want to look for, certain specific things. So we want to look at how do they mesh together. Now, we all understand how the candle anatomy works. So what is the psychology? We want to look towards market to say, where was an area where there was pressure? Where was there an area where there was rejection? Where is an area where there was momentum? And where is an area where there was indecision? Okay, those are the 4 things that you want to look for, guys, when you are looking towards. This is now the psychology behind it. And so when you look at that candle, don't just look at it and say, I think this is a really great candle to buy, or it's more about looking at the candle saying, there was a lot of pressure in this candle. There was a massive wick. It's a huge rejection on it. It looks like the momentum is the opposing side. Guys, what's cooking? Please just check at the front there. Okay. Where is the momentum pushing towards and where is indecision? So when you are looking for psychological triggers within your stories, you're looking for areas of pressure, areas of rejection, areas of momentum, and areas of indecision. Okay. So for example, a sweep where a candle tried to go through but broke back down. So what's smelling like that?
The pot is doing that. It was switched on.
Which pot?
It's cooking.
There's literally heat in the pan and it's frying the thing.
Did you switch off everything?
I don't know who didn't.
Switch off everything, please. Okay. Where did a candle return back into the area? And where is a potential reaction on that landscape? Okay. So it's about connecting to the previous lesson. We use candle anatomy to read price behavior. And we understand then the psychology behind it. Okay. So what you're going to do from now on is you're going to look for areas of pressure, areas of rejection, areas of momentum, and areas of indecision. Those 4 things are going to give you the psychology behind the candle. Okay, so what do we mean with a range sweep? Okay, so range sweep is normally in CRT. What we are looking for is we're looking for an area. Where did the price come in and sweep? Price tries to move higher, but fails and breaks down. Then closes back inside of the range, and that creates the parent candle. Okay, so this is what we're looking for in the CRT model is we are looking for price to go outside of the area, then reject hardly within it. So now it's up to you how you want to trade your CRT. But what I would highly suggest to you is to look for setups where price rejected on a specific area twice. Look at this. You had multiple rejections on that same area. Okay, I will show it to you guys on the chart now for you guys to understand this. So what it means is price tried to go higher, tried to sweep higher, liquidity was absorbed at the top there, and then the orders price then reversed, and what you are trading is you are trading that reversal. Okay, the close back into that area. So you've got the parent candle. So what are you looking for on the parent candle? You are looking on the parent candle for an area where price swept out. So what do I mean with this? What I mean with this, guys, is when you're looking at your parent candle, you want to choose the right parent candle. Because if you choose the wrong parent candle, you're going to end up in trades that you don't want to be in, guys. Okay, so this is the mistake that most people make when they are trying to trade CRT. They just look for any candle that can be a parent candle. My advice to you today is if you're going to be trading CRT, trade candles that are at strategic areas of support and resistance. Look for parent candles that are at major areas of support and resistance. Okay, so you want to see that sweep out of an area. For example, I'm going to show you guys now what that looks like on the chart. Okay, so don't trade the candle by itself. Trade the candle, the context, the structure, the confirmation, the risk management, and the trade decision. Okay, right. So what do I mean? You're going to look at the candle. Then you're going to look at the context of where that candle is. Then you're going to look at the structure of that. And then you're going to look for the confirmation, right? Then you're going to look towards proper risk management and then making your trading decisions. So on CRT, it's not just about finding the parent candle and then finding for the sweep. You want to make sure that when you are looking at a trade, that you are looking at the bigger picture, because great traders follow a process, not an impulse. Okay. Information plus process equals probability. Okay. So when you take the information that you have, you put it together with your process, you will then create probability for yourself. You're going to put more things in your favor, and that's when you start trading a lot better. You're getting better setups. Okay, so let's quickly share that again and show you that. So what are we looking for when we are looking for a CRT candle? Let's look. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wrong button, wrong button. So let me show you guys what I mean with the CRT. Okay. So when we are looking for a CRT candle, right? Not all candles are created equally. So that is why we go to the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so what are we looking for? Now let's have a look here. Here is, okay, we'll all agree with me now. This is a great CRT model. This is a cuck CRT model. This is a great CRT model. Why am I then saying this is cuck and this is great? Why are these two great and this one not great? Very simple. Because of what I'm observing on the candles. Look here. Here you can see price came up. Thank you, Neil. Structure, guys. Structure. Candle pushed up, right? With the outer side of this area came back in. The same next candle tried to do the same thing, came back and closed here. So now I would then look towards this candle to say, I think on the 15 minutes, it's a great time for me to sell. So now let's go to the 15 minutes. Where is that? Where is that one now? Hello. Okay, not that one. We are looking at the, what was I looking at? Oh, yeah, Mari. Hello. Caitlin, have you switched off everything?
Something happened.
What?
Someone left that thing on and it melted the utensil in there.
Okay, I'm coming now. Just leave it. I'll come and check it now. All right. So here you can see that we had this green candle here, which is what, the 11th August at 3. So the 11th of August at 3. All right. So here we can see it. There it is. There. Now, what are we observing on the 15 minutes? Okay. So that's why it's important when you are choosing your parent candle, which is this one, right? This parent candle here. Okay, this candle happened at 3. This candle happened at 4. So it means you would be looking at this candle from 5 p.m. In the CRT model, you will be looking at the candle from 5 a.m. on the 11th of August. So let's go to the candle, 5 a.m. And let's look at where's 5 a.m. The year is 5. There is 5 a.m. Okay, now what do we see? Okay, now we're looking for a momentum candle. What happens there? We can see prices starting to push back. There we have our engulfing, some sort of an engulfing candle. And when we look at the structure, yeah, what do we see? Prices pushing back. Then we have a doji telling us indecision. And then look what happened. Price, then we enter here and we look towards the down. This is what you want from your CRT model, guys. So when you are trading CRT, this is what you want to look at long term. Okay, guys, this is the structure you want to look at. Okay. All right. Okay, let me just. Where is our, yeah, why can I, oh, here we go. Okay, so where's our class? Let's share our, all right, so my final thought, guys, for tonight is candlesticks don't predict the future. They give you evidence of what is happening. Your job is to learn how to interpret the evidence. The next lesson, guys, we are going to be diving into candlestick patterns. So we are going to be studying specific candlestick patterns. How do they form in the market? What do they look like? What are their characteristics? Because now we understand how candlesticks are formed. We understand the psychology behind them. We understand everything around candlesticks. Now we can actually look at patterns and understand that where the pattern appears and how it appears is going to determine the success for us going forward, guys. All right. Okay, guys, that is the lesson for tonight. Okay, let me just quickly stop the recording. All right. Okay, guys. So